Welcome back, guys, to the channel, and today we will be recapping Vanderpump Rules. And last night's episode, I would say, was the first part for me was a bit just okay, but I can say like the last ending, like the last minutes of the episode, were the highlights of the episode for me. And yeah, we have a lot to discuss today on this. We saw where the gang is pretty much back from Lake Tahoe. Sandoval is back. He says that he was speaking with the assistant in the kitchen, and then she was asking him like how the trip was and everything, and then he said that it was pretty good, and he feels like people are now starting to humanize him. And I'm sure that's what he wants. Not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but it was, to me, gave me a little bit like, are you just, like you're thinking too far ahead, like it was just one trip and it was a really heavy trip? Yeah, I think you're thinking too far ahead to think that everything is all good right now. The following scene we saw where Sheena visited Lisa, and she told Lisa that she's going through stages of grace for Sandoval. And we saw as well where she was saying that Ariana does not want to hear about anything that she's going through regarding Sandoval. And I don't know what in the moment Sheena is thinking about, but I don't know what in your mind would think that Ariana at this point, 2 months afterwards, would want to hear anything regarding Sandoval or someone who is close to her wanting to forgive him or feels remorse of the friendship of them. And we also saw where we knew that Sandoval said that he didn't consider them as friends or anything like that. So I don't understand how all of a sudden now Sheena is like on this remorseful train. Like she was one of the persons who was on her podcast milking it episode after episode talking about the situation. So I don't understand how all of a sudden now it's like you are more concerned about repairing this friendship with him and what he has done for you and etc. Like where was all of this when you were on your podcast going in on him? Like it's kind of just, I somewhat see where Ariana is coming from, but it's like at the same time like you can't expect her to have any remorse or any feeling towards what you're going through. She then said she found out through Dan, which is Ariana's new boyfriend, that she was doing Dancing with the Stars, and then she felt a way about it. She says that she has been practicing for Dancing with the Stars, hoping that they would actually consider her to be on it. And I'm sure she maybe more thought that as well because everything what went down with Sandoval or Scandoval, how attention was really on the show. So I thought that she maybe think that, okay, maybe she would necessarily, have a chance of being on the show because everybody's now paying attention to the show. They were also nominated for an Emmy. So yeah, but it's, to me, it sounds a bit jealous. Like, yeah, it just sounds a bit a little jealous to me. It doesn't sound like you are actually happy. You're saying for her that you're happy for her, but I don't get from this that you're actually happy for her. Yeah. The next thing we saw where Ariana and Lala, they met up and we saw they were discussing, the Lake Tahoe trip and how Sheena was emotional on the trip. Ariana then says that she is asking Sheena to fight Sandoval every time she sees him. And then Lala decides to bring up the fact that the group picture, that was going around and persons were calling out Sheena of being fake. If Ariana didn't see where she could at least publicly said something to kind of defend Sheena, and she rightfully said that no, she did not. But yes, Lala did say then why wouldn't you think that is something that you should probably have called out? And she then says that, yeah, it's something that she could have done, which we found out eventually she did. But it's sad that Lala had to set it for you to think it. Like, you see how persons were going in on the whole situation. And now you have your close friend going through it on social media. And you know how Sheena is very emotional. Like, I've thought that would have been something like common knowledge for you to have done than someone have to be calling those in the group to say, hey, then why do you think you could say something? Like, you're more concerned about making a headline instead of just defending your friend. We then got to the next scene where we saw Katie and Lala and Sheena. They met up for lunch. And then Sheena, she was talking about the spiritual healing on the Tahoe trip, and she started to get into the whole her moment that she had with Sandoval. Katie was not here for it. She doesn't want to hear anything regarding Sandoval because, when she was with Schwartz, Sandoval was pretty much someone who was not fan of Katie. So she is more happy that persons are not fucking with him, and she doesn't want anybody as well to fuck with him. And, Sheena then says she saw Sandoval. She thinks that Sandoval more felt like he more felt for the friendship that he lost than the relationship, because she was saying that no, with Ariana he was miserable. And at this point I was like, you sound to me like you're just eagerly jumping into this thing where before it was so alarming of their issues in the relationship and them cheating and stuff, but now it sounds like you're more, oh yes, we all knew there were issues, and yes, they weren't happy and they weren't this. Like, Sheena, you just starting to sound like you're buying into basically being Team Sandoval at this point. Because before, when you were on your podcast discussing the whole thing, you weren't pushing or saying that yes, they had issues, or yes, they were not happy, and whatever the case is. So now you're saying this, it's like, are you just saying this because you just want to repair your friendship with Sandoval and you don't want it to seem as if like you're going against Ariana, so you're kind of just saying it for saying its sake? But it just didn't seem natural. Like, I don't know where all of this was coming from. Lala, of course, started to be Sheena's defense. And we saw that as well in the other scenes where she's starting to tell Katie that it's not fair for you to say that she needs to let go of stuff that happened years ago. And then Katie basically started to get very annoyed where she says that Sandoval is a demon and she's not. She just wish people to stop talking about him because she's not going to defend his actions, nor she's going to want to be friends with him. And again, we know that they did have a history before where they weren't cool. So I see why she doesn't want anything to do with him, and she doesn't really care for Sheena, who, they had their issues in their friendship, for her to be trying to make it sound as if like she is so weak, to where someone can just tell you something and it's just like you rightfully believe it. And we can see that is what's happening, where every scene she has, she keeps on harping on the fact of how she wants to repair this friendship, but she doesn't want to lose Ariana as a friend. And yeah, Lisa and Sandoval. They met up at Tom Tom. Tom says that the persons were kind to him on the trip, and Sandoval says as well that he is worried about Rachel. He misses her. He hasn't spoken to her recently. Where Lisa then decided to give us a little bit information to say that she had a speaking with Rachel, which I'm assuming it could be where she wanted her to come back to the show. But I guess they also spoke about other stuff where she said that she is kind of, she's over Sandoval right now. She saw that where he was manipulating him, and as well where she seems happy without him. And that's where Sandoval then says that Rachel has blocked him. And Lisa then said, well, I guess then it's over then. Like, if she has blocked you and then she's saying all of this stuff, like, I guess it's over. So, like, kind of move on, or try to move on from the situation. Lala and Lisa met up. We saw where Lala decided to tell Lisa that she is basically planning to do sperm donation or IUI. And she is also, she wants to have another child. She doesn't want to have it with another guy because she wants the freedom of knowing that no one is going to be able to be fighting her for this child, like 50 like custody agreements, or she doesn't want a baby daddy basically. So we know now today that Lala is pregnant. Congratulations. And also Lala says that after she spoke to Ariana about regarding the Sheena situation, that she did post something in defense of Sheena, which was good. But it's like, I think we're seeing the little crumbs of persons having their issues with Ariana's success. And now everybody is pretty much, sharing their issues they may have with how Ariana is operating, and as if she is maybe, being a bit, like she feels like she is whatever because things are happening for her. The next scene we have Ariane, Schwartz and Joe. They met up with Ali and James. James was having his, regular DJ night. James says that he was stoked to see, like all three of them pretty much, which is Schwartz, Sandoval, and him. Of course, we saw where Sandoval popped in. These pop-ins with Sandoval seems to me very fake, and then he makes it sound as if like he was just in the area and it's just that they happen to be there. I don't believe that for a second. You can't see cameras all over and then act as if like you don't know what's happening or filming is happening. Like I'm sure you're aware, you know the producers that they're there. So I don't see why it's like you're acting all surprised regarding this filming. Ali, you can see that she's not really into Sandoval. She's Team Ariana all the way through. So she is basically thinking that Sandoval is trying to buy James because we saw this thing with his sunglasses and he was trying to, telling him that, oh, you can keep it or whatever the case might be. So Ali's seen right through Sandoval's bullshit, but I guess everybody is pretty much not seeing it. We had guys' night out where we also had the girls' night at Ali's. Sandoval tells the guys that he hasn't spoken to Rachel over a month and he cannot do it anymore. He wants to basically, he doesn't really want to go into another relationship, but he wants maybe female energy in his life. And we know today now he's dating someone. I think her name is Victoria. So we see that, okay, he's clearly in a relationship now or dating someone right now. But right in the current episode, it's like he is just basically over. And I guess this stems from what Lisa said, where Rachel said she felt manipulated and that she's pretty much done with it. So I guess he got his closure for him to move on, basically. At girls' nights, we saw where Ariana says that, the internet, they were doing some astrology reading because, Ali is into astrology. And we saw where Ariana says that the internet feels that she's making millions off of dollars, which isn't true. She said that most of her money when they bought the house was necessarily where she was playing catch up because, that apparently, I guess, Tom at the time had more money. So she, they were in a relationship. So she tried her best to put towards the house. So she put her money into the house. And then she also, as well, they are trying to open a sandwich shop, which that's another ton of money to start up a business. So she also put her time into that. So that's where most of her money is. So literally in the March before everything went down, she was literally on her last $2,000. And thankfully, she started to gain some based on this unfortunate situation in her life, but she started to gain some sponsors, business start coming in, money starts rolling in, but it's not the money that she thinks that most person think that she's making. Ariana says that she doesn't know why James doesn't respect himself. Why is he hanging out with Sandoval? And that's where Lala got the cue to pretty much ask her, like, because we all know Sheena put that battery in Lala, because Sheena is just sitting on that couch like a quiet church mouse. Like, she's not saying anything. She's just looking and observing. And that's when she decided to, ask her, like, so you're saying that if James were supposed to, whatever the case might be, you would pretty much be donezo with them. And she pretty much said, well, yeah, she doesn't want anybody, rightfully so, who is basically going out to lunch or dinner spontaneously on Wednesday's night. So Sheena is just literally taking everything in because she knows herself is going through that same thing where she feels like she wants to forgive and somewhat move on with Sandoval, and it's like she knows she doing that will cause an issue with her friendship with Ariana. So, Lala is asking all of the questions while Sheena is just sitting there silent and just looking, observing, not saying anything. Then we then get this back and forth with Katie and Lala, which Katie is not backing down. Lala, is not backing down. Sheena is just sitting there quietly, and Ariana is just probably in disbelief, like, what the hell is happening? Then Lala then says time passes and healing starts, and then that's where we got where it just created this back and forth with them. Then we saw where Lala then eventually apologized to Ariana, but she did not apologize to Katie. And you can see that Katie is like, yeah, I see you, and she knows how to move accordingly. So I would love to see what this means further for Lala and Katie. We saw the mid-season trailer, which seems very intriguing. We saw that Jax is supposed to have a sit-down with Sandoval, and yeah. So I don't know, but this episode was okay. Um, the season trailer seems like we're probably gonna have a bit more than just what is currently happening now, which is the fallout from the whole scandal. I must say I'm not a fan of watching the Valley, but I can say after seeing that trailer, it gives me old times VPR. It gives me old time VPR, and I may check out like the first or two episodes and see if it really is giving what it's supposed to give. But other than that, though, that was the episode of Vanderpump Rules. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts were on this episode tonight. Do you think at the end of this season, friendship is going to survive? Do you think that Sheena and Sandoval are pretty much by the end of the season going to be all cool again? Because we all knew what went down at the BravoCon. So let me know in the comment section below. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and also like the video. And I'll see you next week in the next recap. Bye.